Is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Thank you, Patty. Welcome to DBL. It's Wednesday, January 6th. I'm Tori here with Jeff and Brandon. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Well, Lindsay joins us from home. Hello, lady.
Lindsay!
Hey, what's up?
Happy New Year. We miss you.
That sounded
Happy
like
New Year. How you guys doing?
That sounded like a conversation when you haven't seen your aunt and uncle in years, and you're like, "Hi."
Hey, Aunt Liz.
What are you doing?
Hey, Liz. All right, well, let's get started with the big news of the day. Of course, there was a runoff election yesterday for the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. And while we're following it, we are going to hold off until talking about it until it's official. And as important as that is, instead, we are going to be talking about what everyone else is talking about.
What's that?
Kim and Kanye!
Of course.
Are they headed for divorce? So they have reportedly been in marriage counseling and living separate lives. Now, multiple sources say, yeah, they're calling it quits. Page 6 is reporting that Kim hired this divorce lawyer, Laura Wasser, but others are saying Kim's been paying her for years to be on standby. Can you imagine being paid to just be on standby? Kim has also been seen recently without her giant engagement ring. The couple got married in 2014. So what led to this potential breaking point for the very famous couple? Well, there was Kanye's failed run for president. Initially, Kim seemed to support him, but then this happened. Kanye seemed to lose it during this unscripted speech. He even disclosed some very personal details about their first child together, North, which reportedly left Kim shocked. Kanye also talked about wanting to divorce Kim after news of a private meeting between her and rapper Meek Mill at a Beverly Hills hotel. The couple does have 4 kids together, which also complicates any potential breakup, along with a reported, get ready for this, $2.2 billion fortune that they have to split.
I'm glad you put the .2 at the end of that.
It's important to hear that.
It's important.
It's like people who run marathons, they're like 26.2. So what do you all make of this news? Lindsay, I'm going to start with you. I want to know if you thought you were shocked. I called this the second he started talking about North and the potential abortion that they almost had. I said, Kim's done. This is done. What do you think, Linz?
Yeah, I think in that moment he went too far. A lot of us were like, what is happening? But I'm not really surprised, but I am sad. I think even as somebody who's not a huge fan of the Kardashian franchise, like to see a family with 4 kids going through a divorce is just a real thing. And that's when celebrities become more human, when they're going through real life things. And so you can see even by some of the photos we saw when she flew down to Wyoming to talk to Kanye after that statement that he made about her and him considering abortion for North, who's also 7 and understands that if she reads that or sees that. So that's horrible. But they, it's just been very public and a mess. But, it's also somebody who consistently asks for the public to intentionally be part of her life. And so if that is what the standard was set for all these years, you can't be surprised when everybody's in your business now. It's almost like when Wendy Williams asked for privacy during her divorce. It's like, no, your whole career has been in the public eye, in people's business. So
interesting. What do you think, Jeff, about where she'll go? I have an idea of who she's going to head on to next, but what do you think about the whole idea first off?
First of all, great prediction, Nostradamus.
Nostradamus,
that one of the Kardashians are going to split up. Great prediction. First of all, no one in that family has sustained a marriage, right? Everyone's divorced.
It's been real. No one has had. You're
including
right.
the mother, right?
You're right.
So everyone's focused on Kanye and his mental health, and I want to really focus on that too. I don't want to turn this into a tabloid story. I don't think it's easy being with a Kardashian in itself. There's a lot of pressure on that. I think they have a lot of family pressure that you have to live up to, which could add on to that mental health that you're not stable in it, right? So I really want to focus on Kanye's mental health, how that equates into marriage and things like that, as opposed to just bashing the Kardashians for who they are and that they don't last long in their marriages. This is a serious thing, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, even though they're so unrelatable in the way they live. Mental health is something we're going to have to deal with, not only today, but in the future because of COVID and what people are going through and staying home and losing their jobs and losing loved ones, etc. This is something that we're all going to have to deal with. So I think this is a good example if they do this right on the right stage.
I agree with you. And Brandon, really quick, there is a concept that there's a curse of any men that touches a Kardashian because it'll always go badly for them because they are so heavy and their power is so great. There's this funny curse that people say. Do you see that coming true or no?
I think that's crazy. We're talking about, when we talk about divorce, 51% of relationships end up in divorce anyway. So it doesn't matter if you're with a Kardashian or you're with someone named Stacy,
Nostradamus?
like Nostradamus. You're flipping the coin. But to go into the Kanye, to go into a Lamar Odom, to go into a Scott
Disick, yeah.
You know what you're going into. You already know what you're going into. So I don't feel bad for either one of them when it comes to going through a public breakup with a Kardashian, because you have a motive when you go in there. Do you really love this person, or do you want the followers? Do you want the love, or do you want status in a sense? So to go back to what Lindsay said, I'm feeling for those kids. As a product of a divorce, my parents got divorced, and we spend Christmases in Richmond, Virginia, or Hampton, Virginia, with different sides of the family. My mom never had a sex tape. My dad has never come out and said that my mom, I wanted to abort one of the kids or anything like that. So when Lindsay talks about her being able to understand these things at 7, just think of what it's going to be like at 17 when she's in high school.
I hear you.
That's what I've been thinking about.
I hear you. I agree with you. The thing about Kim, and I really like Kim Kardashian, actually. I've always been a big fan. I think she's a smart woman with a good family. They don't do drugs. They don't drink a ton. They always stick together. They're good to the significant others like Lamar Odom when they all ran and protected him. I don't think it's going to be acrimonious because I think they're going to try and keep it civil. But I wonder if you think Kim Kardashian, because she's becoming a lawyer and she's doing so much with getting people out of jail and trying to do police reform, that she might go into politics and maybe meet a politician. What do you think about that, Linz? Do you see that as a follow-up, maybe someone a little more stable, that she can be a Jackie O? I know she's always wanted to be a Jackie O. She bought like all of her stuff at auction. What do you think about that concept?
Honestly, based on the family and the show, I don't see her going with the politician route, just because I don't think that she would be okay with all the rules that comes with it, which is why she does prison reform on her own, takes on the cases that she wants to take on. And I know when you get into that political life, as we've seen with Michelle Obama and her whole book, or as we've seen with Melania and how much she's just criticized, that's a different role to take on, and where you can't be as outspoken. And this is a woman who makes a huge career off of television shows and being honest and as authentic as her family says they are. So I don't know about just shutting that all down just to be somebody's wife of a politician, or if she runs herself, be a politician and then stay kind of in line and traditional with politics.
Yeah.
And Lindsay, what politician is going to want that baggage on his or his end? Because
Someone
we talk
who wants
about
a lot of votes.
I was just going to say that.
We talk about President Trump. We talk about Melania with her racy photos. She has a sex tape. Forget her racy photos. You can see stuff. You know what I'm saying?
But that didn't stop Melania from being first lady.
Wait, but I do think that we're in a time where, at some point our next president down the line is going to be somebody who is all over TikTok, all over Instagram, probably doing inappropriate stuff. And so give it 20 years, and that's what we're going to start to see, people that have things that they have to explain. And actually the public is not going to be criticizing them so much by what they did in their 20s or even late teens.
I mean, remember Bill Clinton said, I smoked pot, but I didn't inhale? And then it was all of a sudden, Barack Obama's like, well, did you inhale? And he's like, yeah, that's how you smoke pot. Like, the climate changes and things become acceptable and normalized, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what Brandon's saying. There are still people who they don't look upon that fondly, right? Yeah. So that will influence the vote. But on the other hand, look at how many influencers the whole family has as a whole. Yeah. Right? Yeah, there's a lot of votes there. I just hope whoever she goes with next, and to be perfectly honest here, is a good father, is willing to look after the kids. Because that's who ultimately is going to be hurting in this whole thing.
And good stability, right? Like someone really stable for her, because it's been up and down.
That goes under the list of good fathers.
You're the worst. Lindsay, don't go away.
What about Kanye? Who's he going to end up with?
Oh. I think with himself.
I'm praying for Kanye. Listen, he's going through something serious. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, that's a good note to be serious on. And if you are going through something as well, make sure you get some help. We are serious about that. Well, coming up, a morbid mystery when human remains show up on a mantle. How did it get there? And the bigger question is why? That's in True Crime Chronicles. And get this, the CEO of Whole Foods, the store fondly known as Whole Paycheck, says people should just eat better to be more healthy. Is he out of touch, or does he have a point? Welcome back to DBL. Is there an easy solution to the healthcare crisis in America? Well, according to the CEO of Whole Foods, it all comes down to healthy eating. There's John Mackey right there for you.
McEnroe.
No, Mackey.
I got you.
Okay. Here's what he said on a recent episode of Freakonomics Radio. Take a listen, then we'll discuss after.
The best solution is not to need health care. The best solution is to change the way people eat, the way they live, the lifestyle and diet. There's no reason why people shouldn't be healthy and have a longer health span. A bunch of drugs is not going to solve the problem.
Huh. Here's the thing, though. He's getting a ton of backlash for those comments because people on social media saying he's out of touch with the way many Americans live, especially people who don't have the money or access to healthy food options. So the question is he right, or was this out of touch? I got a lot of tweets that I looked up. Even Representative Ilhan Omar said Whole Foods cut thousands from their health care. Now 2,000 of them are dealing with COVID. Someone said a $2.99 apple a day keeps the doctor away. Basically, I found this so painful, really. Painful, because if you're living in a food desert, which is what they're called, you don't have healthy foods, you have 2 jobs, the easiest and cheapest thing is to get a KFC bucket for your family of 4, then don't be shamed by this dude who's a gazillionaire who went against Obamacare in 2009. Brandon, do you agree or no?
I mean, I agree with them to a certain extent because he also said a lifestyle. You eating KFC, I understand that you may not have the money to go get healthy food, but you can still take a 30-minute walk throughout the day.
Not if I'm working 2 jobs, exhausted, and have 4 kids.
You can still take a 30-minute walk during the day. You can still take your kids for a walk.
But that's not what he's saying. He's saying if you eat, you won't need health care. And some people are saying that's absolutely absurd.
And I agree with that. So this is where I'm like, this guy, I understand his message, but a rich person like that, that's worth $100 million, and I believe Whole Foods is owned by Jeff Bezos. So you two, your combined wealth have enough money to wipe out hunger throughout the entire world.
Yeah.
And he's just saying it like, oh, you should just go get one of our kales, which costs like $100 million at Whole Foods anyway. But I understand what he's saying, but you're going to get backlash because of that, because of who the messenger is.
I think it's taken out of context a little bit here. I listened to him on Joe Rogan's podcast in long form, which I think that's where things are going because you take these clip bites, sound bites, and people just jump all over them. I think what he's trying to address, what I think the nation needs to address, is our obesity problem, right? I understand Whole Foods, not everybody could afford. He talks about trying to bring some of those costs down. But I've lived off of a small budget when I was in LA, and I used to get a chicken from like Ralph's and eat half in the morning, half at night. I'd go to the dollar store and get packages of tuna fish, and I didn't have a lot of money, but I chose to find a healthier way in addition to exercising. I'm not shaming anybody. I'm not saying there are people with problems that they need some sort of medication. That's not what I'm saying, because you're going to take what he's saying and then what I'm saying totally out of context. I'm saying we need to address this issue in America because it's killing more people than COVID.
And I hear you, and Lindsay, I want to get your take. I just think the way he said it seemed to say the problem is the people and not the corporations that could build healthy foods in food deserts. Lindsay, how did you take it?
Yeah, I don't think it's a difference between picking KFC over the store-bought grocery store chicken. I really think it's the idea that if you have $50 and you're a family of 4, the frozen foods, honestly, and the frozen, boxed foods are going to last you much longer if you have to feed that family for the entire month versus healthy things that will go bad that you can buy immediately with that same $50. And so I think we have to just be cognizant that it's not just people out there wasting their money on McDonald's and doing things like that. And when it comes from somebody who oversees Whole Foods, where the prices even outprice middle middle-class families that don't have that many kids. I mean, that's why it just seems a bit tone deaf.
Yeah, I agree. Someone wrote in too, I used to work at Whole Foods and they would take every piece of leftover food and put it in the trash and chain it so the homeless couldn't get it. And it's just like not a great look that he hasn't been someone very philanthropic, let's say, in the past, John Mackey. But you can disagree with me. Coming up on DBL, how did a real-life human skull end up on a mantle? It's a bizarre mystery next in True Crime Chronicles.
Welcome back to DBL. We first told you about this chilling story in October. A skull sat on a mantle inside a home. Investigators later realized it was the remains of a missing man. Here's an update in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
It's one of the most bizarre and twisted cases Tennessee investigators have seen in years.
Now, this next story could be upsetting for some of you. Authorities say a dog found a human skull that was then later placed on a fireplace mantle inside a rental home.
Let's go back to where it all began. It was spring 2019. The Sexton family rented out their Tennessee home to a new resident, Brian Kennedy. That March, the homeowner's son stopped by the rental and noticed something odd. He spotted a skull on the fireplace mantle wearing sunglasses, so he asked the new homeowner about it. Brian said he was walking in the woods near the home when his dog spotted the skull.
A homeowner in Bell County found a human skull in their backyard. They found it in the Pineville community off Harbell Road.
He brought it inside and put it on his fireplace. The landlord turned it over to forensic experts in Knoxville, where they quickly realized it belonged to a missing man, 79-year-old Junior Willie McCann. He went missing from his home in September 2012 and was never seen again by his family. So, who was this man and how did he die? There's speculation he could have been killed by a family member who is now dead. For now, police are following every lead and tip, and it's still a very active case.
Earlier, Tori and I spoke with a reporter who's working on this case. Take a look.
We're joined by senior investigative journalist John North from 10 News in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thank you for being here, John. The skull unbelievably sat on a fireplace for a year before anyone noticed. Do you believe that the new tenant Brian had any idea it was a real skull or a missing person, or was it just a mantle piece of art?
Well, common sense would dictate he had to know it was the real thing. His dog had found it, some months before when they had been out walking. I've seen pictures of it. It's a human skull. It's not a white plastic skull. So, yeah, I have to suspect he knew it was a human being, and they had also found Native American remains often and other evidence of them in the woods behind that house before. So my guess is he knew what it was, but I guess he just didn't think anything about it.
Wow.
What do you think happened to this missing man? Do you think his family was involved in his disappearance in any way?
There have been some rumors and some suspicion in the community that that's what happened. Mr. McCann had gone for a walk. He lived in the house where the skull many years later would be placed on the mantle. He disappeared. He was about 79, and then his brother reported him missing about 4 days later. So something happened to him, and it took a little while before anybody said, well, where's Junior?
That's the problem, that time in between.
A lot of questions here.
So many questions.
If my dog found the skull, I think I'd notify somebody.
That would be normal common sense, Jeffrey, yes. John, what will it take to break this case, and what new leads are police pursuing?
They don't really have a whole lot right now, Tori, and honestly, time is the enemy.
Right.
Because it was so long after the skull was realized that it was sitting on the mantle. The best that they've been able to do in recent months is to confirm that it was Junior. They've only got the skull. When they did a search of the woods behind the house, they found no other parts. There's no evidence of foul play in regards to the skull, so they don't really have a whole lot to work with.
There's so many questions.
When is this appearing on Netflix, John?
Well, I think you could do a whole season about East Tennessee, or maybe a whole 10 years.
Wow. I mean, that is a
lot of very interesting, though.
A lot of twists and turns, and wondering what people knew and what they didn't know. To learn more about this story, I will be doing this. Just visit WBIR.com. You can also listen to a brand new podcast episode about this case. You just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. John, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. All right. A lot of you didn't care about Kanye and Kim, and you made that very clear, so we thank you.
Oh, neither did we.
Barb says from Facebook, who cares what the final straw was? Deb says, not surprised, too much water under the bridge. And finally, Maxine says, nobody cares. I got a divorce 3 years ago. Guess what? I'm not the only one.
Yeah, but again, to go back to, I know people don't necessarily care about them, even though they're the most watched show on television.
Right.
Nobody cares. I think you need to care about the mental health aspect of it, right? And kind of use it as your own platform, because like you said, 51% of marriages ended divorce. Use it as a platform how they handle it and see how they handle it, which is going to be interesting.
And it's not always easy, just so you know, for Kim to have been the caregiver. That's a hard position to be in, so we give her props for that. All right, DBL's new every day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Thank you.